So again, it's an exercise in GIMP and it's on what we call double exposure. So the result will be something like this. Right. Okay, now, just so you know, yeah, a lot of times a human face is usually not suitable for doing this double exposure, because on the human face, what we see is we have these features which is very prominent to tell you what the person is really looks like. Meaning we have the eyes and nose and mouth, which is smack in the center. So we want these details to be preserved in a certain manner. Whereas for the bison, it's different. For the bison, we have a certain body, meaning a certain space on its body which is empty. So we are using that, right? So if you're using it on, let's say, for example, a human, meaning a human, for example, he or she is not wearing anything, so there's a lot of like empty spots on the body, then maybe that's a better idea rather than the face, because you know what I'm saying, right? Because the face, we want to preserve the looks on the face, so it's usually not the best of ideas. So this is just for exercise, yeah, just for practice, right? So not really encouraged, but you may in the future you may find a use for this, meaning double exposure for the face. I've seen it before. I don't think it's such a good idea. Maybe you can instead, maybe you can just expose the top part of the head or something like that. But anyhow, we're just gonna do this. I'm just gonna open that file first, just going like that, and then I'm just gonna open the Mount Everest file as well, because that's going to be the part where it's going to be double exposed. And of course I'm gonna enlarge this or rescale it so that it matches the lady's features. It matches the size of the lady, meaning the full feature of the lady, right? Scale it, right? And I'm gonna put it at the back. So this is different, yeah? All this while when we're doing layer masking, we are technically erasing the top layer, right? Here on the other hand, we are going to also technically we are erasing the top layer. It's just that here, what happens that, as you can see here, nothing happens with regards to the background, right? Instead, it's just the double exposure only happens on the lady. The background remains solid like that, right? Thereby maybe giving us the leeway to actually adjust the background later, right? But never mind. So I'm just gonna use this. This is the select by color tool, right? And I'm just gonna select white. The problem with this selection is, as you can see, there are spots on the face which is also considered white, and rightfully so. In photography, this is called overexposure, meaning you have so much light that you lose detail, right? If you lose light, if you lose detail because very little light, meaning there's the shadows, we call this underexposed. This is called overexposed, right? But only slightly, not too much. So I'm gonna use the ellipse select tool, and I'm gonna choose subtract from the current selection, meaning to say that whatever I cover using this ellipse will not be selected with the current selection. So I'm just gonna do something like that, right? Meaning to say that I want these spaces, so I don't want it to be selected up until on top here, because there's this little spot here, right? So let's just go with that, and then I'm just gonna use Ctrl X for cut, or I can use Ctrl C even, doesn't even matter, right? And Ctrl V for paste, right? Shift Ctrl N, and as you can see here, there's a pasted layer which consists of only the background, the solid background, right? So again, you have to be careful with humans, because actually you have to be careful with a lot of things, where the colors on the subject may coincide with the colors with the color of the background. For example, here, right, there's a lot of shine and sheen to her hair in such a way that it might seem white. So if you made the mistake of selecting that as well and cutting that out, so you imagine suddenly, you know, in the shine, suddenly there's an average appearing in there or something like that, right? So yeah, that was why I used the color select tool as well as the ellipse select tool. So then after that, it becomes really simple. You just go to this particular layer, the layer with the lady on, right? Then just reduce the opacity, right? As much as you see fit lah, right? So if you want it, extremely a lot like this, you can, right? So I have no idea who this is, right? A hint of who that is, a bit more hint on who that is with a little bit of mountains and so on. So it depends on, it's like a compromise lah. Which part do you want to appear more prominently, right? If it's like this, I think we can really see that it's a female. We can even if you know who she is, we can even still identify her, but the mountains might not be so clear. I don't know, right? So it depends on what kind of features you want to preserve in your layout. Then you go with that. You go with however much opacity you want to go with. And that's all editing of this double exposure, and we're not using any layer masking at all.